We begin tonight with a story that has left millions of fans questioning everything they thought they knew about the internet's most beloved vocalists. For the better part of a decade, the digital world has been captivated by a voice that seemingly appeared out of thin air in Lancashire, England. Lucy Thomas wasn't just another viral sensation. She was a once-in-a-generation talent who seemed destined for the heights of global superstardom. But then, something strange happened. As her views climbed into the billions, the woman herself seemed to retreat from the typical Hollywood spotlight. While her peers were getting caught up in public feuds and the toxic cycle of social media clout, Lucy's presence became more enigmatic. This led to a wave of digital concern, with fans flooding comment sections asking the same question: where is Lucy Thomas? In an era where every moment of a celebrity's life is documented, her privacy felt like a statement. Tonight, we're peeling back the curtain on the quietest revolution in music history. We aren't just looking at a singer. We're looking at a carefully calculated strategy that has allowed a young woman to maintain her soul in an industry known for breaking them. But as we dug deeper into her recent activities, we discovered that the disappearance wasn't a retreat at all. It was a rebranding that would lead to one of the most shocking career pivots we've seen in years. However, before we can understand her future, we have to address the dark cloud that nearly derailed her reputation, a case of mistaken identity that took a life of its own. In the world of the internet, a name is everything, but it can also be a curse. For several years, a wave of confusion gripped the fanbase as tragic headlines involving a different Lucy Thomas began to circulate. We've seen it happen before, where a name match leads to rest in peace posts and frantic searches for the truth. In Lucy's case, rumors began to swirl that she had faced a tragic end, leading to massive speculation about her mental health and safety. These accidents and untimely departures mentioned in deep web forums weren't about our vocalist, yet the shadow they cast was long. It forced her team into a difficult position. Do you address the dark speculation and give it more life, or do you let the music speak for itself? They chose the latter, but the trauma within the community was real. This period of confusion served as a bizarre litmus test for her popularity. It proved that the world wasn't just listening to her songs, they were emotionally invested in her survival. It's a testament to the power of her connection with the audience that, even in the face of these dark, unfounded rumors, her support only grew stronger. But the real story isn't about what didn't happen to her. It's about the massive, hidden challenges she was actually facing behind the scenes while the world was distracted by a ghost. If the rumors weren't enough to stop her, the history of the music industry suggests that her own age should have been her greatest obstacle. History is littered with the remains of child stars who couldn't navigate the transition to adulthood. From the Mickey Mouse Club to the Voice Kids, the Prodigy label is often a death sentence for a long-term career. When Lucy first walked onto that stage in 2018, the industry saw a marketable 14-year-old with a sweet face. But Lucy and her team at Cavendish Records were playing a much longer game. They avoided the bubblegum pop trap that has claimed so many others. Instead of chasing a quick radio hit, they leaned into the timeless classics, songs that required a maturity far beyond her years. This wasn't just a creative choice, it was a protective barrier. By positioning her as a classical crossover artist, they insulated her from the typical pressures of the pop world. But as she moved into her 20s, a new challenge emerged. The voice that people fell in love with was changing. The high, crystalline notes of a child were evolving into the rich, resonant tones of a woman. For many artists, this vocal shift is where it all falls apart. Fans don't always want their idols to grow up. Yet, in Lucy's case, the evolution has been her greatest weapon. She has managed to do what very few have. She aged with her audience, turning her YouTube channel into a living documentary of her growth. But even with a loyal fanbase, she knew she needed something more, a project that would prove she wasn't just a singer, but a storyteller. That proof finally arrived in the form of a high-stakes gamble, that would see her transition from a bedroom singer to a theatrical powerhouse. Many vocalists can thrive in the controlled environment of a recording studio, where every breath can be edited and every note perfected. But the stage is a different beast entirely. In 2024 and 2025, Lucy took a massive leap by becoming the face of the original musical Rosie. This was a turning point that changed the narrative surrounding her career. She wasn't just covering Leonard Cohen or Adele anymore. She was embodying a character, carrying a narrative, and proving that she could command a live audience for 2 hours straight. The critics who had dismissed her as a YouTube creation were suddenly silenced. The project was more than just a musical. It was a declaration of independence. It allowed her to step out from the shadow of the songs she grew up singing and find her own dramatic voice. This transition into musical theater is a path paved by legends like Barbara Streisand, and the comparisons are becoming impossible to ignore. But this move wasn't without its risks. Stepping into the world of theater meant stepping away from the algorithms that made her famous. It was a test of whether her fans would follow her into a new medium. The result? Sold-out shows and a renewed sense of purpose that has set the stage for her most ambitious year yet. As she moved toward 2026, the YouTube singer label was officially dead, replaced by something much more formidable. Now, as we stand in the first half of 2026, the world is witnessing the full scale of what Lucy Thomas has become. With the release of her latest work, Portrait, Lucy has finally closed the door on her childhood. This album is being treated by critics as her magnum opus, a collection that blends her classical roots with a cinematic, modern sound. But the real story isn't just the music, it's the geography. For years, Lucy was a digital ghost, heard everywhere but seen nowhere. That changed in 2026. Her tour dates across Europe and her massive reception in Japan have signaled the arrival of a global icon. We're talking about an artist who can sell out a hall in Tokyo just as easily as she can in London, all without the backing of a major American Big Three record label. This is the new era of music, a decentralized, fan-driven empire. But the road hasn't been entirely smooth. As she expands into these new markets, she's faced the pressure of massive expectations. There are rumors of exhaustion and the intense physical toll that a world tour takes on a vocalist of her caliber. When you sing like Lucy Thomas, you can't fake it. There's no backing track to hide behind. Every performance is a high-wire act. Those close to her suggest that the pressure to remain perfect is the one thing that could eventually cause her to step back again. But for now, she is leaning into the storm, proving that she belongs on the world's biggest stages. This brings us to the ultimate question that the music industry is currently scrambling to answer. What is the ceiling for an artist like Lucy Thomas? In a world dominated by short-form content and disposable music, she is an anomaly. She represents a return to a time when talent was the primary currency. Some analysts are predicting that 2026 will be the year she finally secures a major film soundtrack or a permanent residency that would cement her status alongside the greats. Others worry that her refusal to engage in the celebrity circus will eventually limit her reach. But if her 1.5 billion views tell us anything, it's that the audience is already there, and they aren't going anywhere. Lucy Thomas has managed to bypass the gatekeepers and build a direct bridge to her fans. Whether she becomes a household name in the traditional sense or remains the internet's best-kept secret, who sells out theaters across the globe, her impact is undeniable. She has redefined what it means to be a star in the 21st century. As we watch her journey continue through 2026, one thing is clear. The voice that started in a small town in England has become a global force that cannot be silenced. The child star is gone, and in her place stands a world-class vocalist who is just getting started.